Today, we're diving into a really radical vision for how society should work, and we're going to see it through the eyes of one of the 20th century's most influential and, controversial Islamic thinkers.
So, where are we getting this from? Well, we're looking at Syed Qutb's commentary on a specific chapter of the Quran, Surah 4. It's called An-Nisa, which translates to the women. And this is huge, right? Because it gives us this powerful look into how a really influential male thinker interpreted a text that is absolutely central to the roles and rights of women, and what kind of social blueprint he built from that.
And this really gets at a huge question, one that's been asked for centuries. Can a sacred text, a book of faith, actually serve as a detailed blueprint for an entire social order? I mean, everything from how you run your family to how you handle your money?
So let's get into it. We're going to explore how Qutb answered that question. For him, the Quran wasn't just about spiritual guidance. Nope, it was a complete divine system, basically designed to tear down and rebuild human society from the very foundations.
All right, first up, understanding this idea of a divine constitution. You see, in Qutb's mind, the Quran was so much more than just a holy book. He literally saw it as a perfect and complete framework for all of human life, one that could build the ideal community.
And his conviction here was really strong. He believed that the very first Muslim community was, well, a miracle. He thought it was a society brought to life directly from the pages of God's book. And the crucial part, he believed it could be done again, that it was a repeatable process, a model for any time.
Okay, so to really get Qutb's solution, we first have to understand the problem he thought he was solving. And for him, the core sickness plaguing all of humanity, both in the past and right now, was something he called ignorance.
Now, when Qutb said ignorant, he didn't just mean, uneducated. It was a much bigger idea. For him, an ignorant society was any system, capitalist, communist, you name it, where the laws, the values, the authority, it all comes from other people, not from God. And he believed that was the real root of all human suffering.
And he had examples to back this up, pointing to pre-Islamic Arabia to show this kind of social decay. He'd talk about a society where orphans' rights were ignored, where women were treated like property, and the family itself was falling apart. But here's the kicker. He argued that these exact same signs of corruption were all over modern societies too, any society that had turned its back on divine law.
So, if societies run by people are just fundamentally broken, what's the alternative? Well, for Qutb, the answer couldn't be clearer. It was absolute. The only solution was the divine system laid out in the Quran.
This really flips the idea of freedom on its head. In Qutb's worldview, real freedom isn't about getting to do whatever you want. No, it's about being liberated from the tyranny of other people's laws and whims. And how do you get there? By submitting only to God's authority.
What he's really calling for is a complete transfer of power, of sovereignty. The idea is that if you get everything, your ethics, your laws, your social norms, the whole shebang, from a divine source, then and only then can humanity finally, truly be free.
But you might be asking, why did he think this system would work forever? Well, his logic was pretty straightforward. He argued it was designed by the same creator who designed us. And since our basic human nature doesn't really change, the divine law made for that nature will always be the right fit. It doesn't matter what new technology comes along or how culture shifts.
Okay, so this divine constitution can't just be a theory, right? How does it actually play out in the real world, in day-to-day life? For Qutb, the answer was simple. You start in the home. His commentary on the women really zooms in on the family, which he saw as the absolute foundation of a godly society.
Qutb really hammers this point home. The entire human race comes from a single source, a single soul. And that fundamental unity, he says, is expressed most clearly in the family. So if you want to protect society, you absolutely have to start by protecting the family. And this brings us to a really specific and often discussed ruling from the text. It's about inheritance. So let's take a look at how Qutb explained the thinking behind this particular law.
Okay, so in Qutb's interpretation, this isn't about playing favorites. It's all about function and responsibility. He argued that since men have the duty to financially support the whole family, wives, kids, other female relatives, while a woman's money is just for her, then the man's bigger share of the inheritance is just a direct reflection of his bigger financial burden. For him, it's about balance, not about one sex being better than the other. And following that same line of thought, Qutb then assigns the role of overall head of the family, the leader, to the man. He connects this role to what he calls natural abilities, specific qualities he saw as suited for leadership, and, of course, that duty to provide and protect. But here's the thing. All these specific rules about family life, as detailed as they are, they weren't the final goal, not at all. According to Qutb, these were just the building blocks, the foundation for something much, much bigger. He saw the whole process as a kind of guided journey upwards. The idea is to take a community, doesn't matter how broken it is, and just guide it up, step by step, to a higher level. This isn't just about fixing a few things, it's about reaching the absolute peak of human potential.
So from his point of view, putting this divine system into practice isn't just an improvement, it's a total recreation. It's a rebirth, and not just for one group of people, but for all of mankind.
And really, trying to understand Qutb's vision isn't just about looking at history. It makes us ask a really important question for today. How do these big, all-encompassing interpretations, ones that offer a complete diagnosis of everything wrong with society and a detailed prescription for how to fix it, how do they continue to shape movements, politics, and even personal faith all over the world right now?